So in the last video, we discussed about how do we write a function f of x in the power series format, right? So to write a function in the power series format, we try to center at c equals to 0. When you try to write out a function fx as a power series format with center at c equals to 0, then you try to write a over 1 minus gx, function of x there, okay? And then after you convert that function fx into this format, then what we did is we try to write that as a geometric series a, and then that is a over 1 minus r. It is like kind of r, right? And then with the geometric series will be a r to the n. Okay, that's what we use. But the problem is if the center is not 0, if the center is different from 0, suppose the center is p, then how do we handle that? Is we try to write down fx equals to a over 1 minus, not a function of x. We try to write a function of x minus p. G is a function of x minus p. You try to write using x minus p format there, okay? And if you write that format that way, it is like a over 1 minus r, right? It is a over 1 minus r. So it will be n equals 0 to infinity, series a times r to the n, right? That's r to the n. So that's the basic idea. And then you find out the interval of convergence after you find that series format. Okay, let us see some examples. So here on this example and on that example, I'm picking exactly the same function, but here I'm trying to write the center at c equals to 1, but here the center is c equals to negative 2. So how does those two problems differ? Because when c is 1, we will try to write as x minus 1, function of x minus 1. Here when c is negative 2, we write function of x minus negative 2 will be, so g will be function of x plus 2. That's what we will try to get, okay? Let us see. Okay, so solution, here what we have is 1 over 6 minus x, but we want to write this as x minus 1 format. So what I'm going to do here is just you need to think how can I write in that format, okay? So what I'm going to do here is 5 minus, and then I want to write x minus 1. What do you get? It is 5 minus x plus 1 will be 6, right? So why I'm trying to get x minus 1 here? Because the center is 1. So since the center is 1, we need to get x minus 1, function of x minus 1 there. So after you do that, what do? You take 5 out, as the last examples, take 5 out, you get 1 minus x minus 1 over 5. That's what you get. So this is like gx, right? So it is like 1/5 is a, and then 1 minus x minus 1 over 5, right? So that will be the gx. It is kind of r, a over 1 minus r. So if you write that, then what is the series representation for that? Is n equals to 0 to infinity 1/5 a, and then r is like just gx, right? So it is the x minus 1 over 5 to the n. Okay, so if you want to simplify this, how do you write that in the simplified version? It would be like this, because there are 5 in the denominator, n equals 0 to infinity. You can write x minus 1 to the n divided by 5 to the n plus 1. This is the series representation, and it is like 1 over 5 to the n plus 1 will be a sub n, and then x minus 1 to the n will be x minus c to the n. So this is the power series representation at the center c equals to 1. Now what is the interval of convergence? So the series this is geometric series, right? Series converges for that common ratio less than 1, right? X minus 1 over 5 is less than 1, okay? Now if you write that, then you can write negative 1 is less than x minus 1 over 5 is less than positive 1, right? And if you multiply by 5, this implies negative 5 is less than x minus 1 is less than positive 5 when you multiply by 5 on all sides. Now add 1. So negative 4 is less than x is less than, so 1 is 6. So basically it is negative 4 through 6 is the interval of convergence. Now here we wanted to find out at c equals to 1, but here you want to find out at c equals to negative 2, meaning that inside right here you try to write x plus 2 because it is negative 2. If it is positive 1, you need to do, because you need to do x minus c, a and then x minus c. That's what you want to, and to the n. So x minus c will be x minus 1 in this case, but here x minus c will be x plus 2. So let us try to do that. So you get, we have 1 over, oops, let me use a different color there. So we have 1 over 6 minus x. How do I write that? Using x, getting x plus 2. Let me write this way. 1 over 8 minus x plus 2. Does that give you the 6 minus x? 8 minus x minus 2 will be 6 minus x, right? Now let us factor out that 8. 1 over, let me take 8 out. You get 1 minus x plus 2 over 8. You see that? And then there is another parenthesis there, right? Now let me put that 1/8 on the top. That will serve as a 1/8 there, and then over 1 minus gx, right? Gx plus 2. It is like x plus 2 over 8. It is like kind of, it is a radius a over 1 minus r, which is exactly in the form of that is r. A over 1 minus r is gx minus p. Here x minus p is x plus 2, right? And this is a function of x plus 2, so we have 8 as well. So this can be written as n equals to 0 to infinity. A is 1/8, right? 1 over 8, and then Rn, that will be r will be x plus 2 over 8 to the n. And if you want to simplify this, you can write this as n equals to 0 to infinity x plus 2 over n divided by, this is like 8 to the n, right? And then this is 8, so it will be 8 to the n plus 1. Do you see that? 8 to the n plus 1. Okay, so if you want to write in the hold on, so what did you get there is, yes, so 8 to the n plus 1. If you want to write with base 2, that is perfectly fine. It will be 2 to the 3n plus 3. That is perfectly fine. Now, what is the radius of convergence? The series converges, because this is a geometric series with common ratio x plus 2 over 8, right? The series converges if that thing, absolute value of x plus 2 over 8 is less than 1. That is -1 is less than x plus 2 over 8 is less than +1. Multiply by 8. -8 is less than x plus 2 is less than +8. And if you simplify this, you get, and subtract 2, you get -10 is less than x is less than 6, right? So the answer is -10 comma 6 is the interval of convergence. Okay, so in this example, since c is 3, since the center is 3, so you want to get the form of either a over 1 minus rx minus 3, or it could be 1 plus rx minus 3. It is not a problem, because if you get plus, then you can do minus there, right? So you can do minus and then minus like that. Okay, not a problem at all. So you need to get 1 plus rx minus 3, r function of x minus 3, or 1 minus a function of x minus 3. Okay, let us start that we have given as 4 over 3x plus 2, right? Now you can write 4, there is 4 there, not a problem. Now I want to write, since I need x minus 3, let me start with x minus 3. Okay, when I start with x minus 3, what do I get there is, since we need 3x here, I got just x, so I need to multiply by 3 here. What do I get? 3x minus 9, but I got 3x, but I got minus 9 extra, right? But we need 2, right? So I want to do, we need plus 2, but we got 3x minus 9, but I need 3x plus 2. So what I want to do is plus 11 will give you 3x plus 2 here. You see that? This whole is 3x plus 2. So what I'm going to do next is, I want to do 4 over, I want to write 11 first, and then plus 11 plus, okay, and then 3x minus 3. You see that? Now let us take 11 out. So I get 4 over 11 out. I got 1 plus 3 and then x minus 3. You see that? Now you see, if you want to, you can write, because this has minus sign, because if you have minus 1 over 1 minus r will give you as geometric series of a r to the n. But if there is plus, you can do minus minus like that. Okay, what I meant there is like this. Let us see that. So I can write this as 4 over, although you get plus, you can change it to minus. How? Let me write this way: 4 over 11. Okay, 4 over 11 whole over 1 minus, you can write 3, and then you can write negative x plus 3, right? That is basically like that. Or if you don't want to write that way, you can try like this too. So if you don't want to write that way, so you can write minus and then minus 3 and then x minus 3. That is 1 minus r format, right? A over 1 minus r format. You can distribute this negative sign inside or just keep it like that, not a problem. Okay, so what do you get here then? So this is same as, so summation, because this is like a over 1 minus r, right? So it's like that. So this is same as n equals to 0 to infinity. You see that? And then you can write that as a is 4 over 11, right? And to the negative 3x minus, oh, by the way, I forgot to write this divide by 11 there, right? I'm sorry, that should be divide by 11 there. I forgot, because when I take 11 out, then you should be 1 plus that thing divided by 11, right? When you distribute that, you should get the same thing. And then minus x minus 3 over 11 to the n. That's what you get, right? So that is 4 over 11 and then minus 3x minus 3, okay, over 11 to the n. Okay, guys. So how do you write that one? You can basically write that as, I would write this as, if you want to simplify, okay, then you can write this as n equals to 0 through infinity. Okay, you can write 4 over 11 times negative 1 to the n times 3 over 11 to the n as well. You see that? And then times x minus 3 to the n, because I wanted to just write like a geometric series representation, because the power series representation will be summation a n x minus c to the n in that format. Okay, so all the terms will be a n, so that you can write this as basically summation n equals to 0 to infinity. Okay, so negative 1 to the n times 4 times 3 to the n over 11 to the n plus 1, because there is 11 to the n, times x minus 3 to the n. You can simplify like that. Okay, or if you want to, you can write negative 3 to the n, not a problem. This is just the equivalent form. Now, how do I find out the interval of convergence then? For the interval of convergence, the series converges, because this is geometric series. This thing is the r must be less than 1, right? The series converges for that negative 3 and then x minus 3 and then over 11 absolute value less than 1. If that is the case, if the common ratio is less than 1, so this negative, you can just get rid of that. So you can write basically this as negative 1 is less than 3x minus 3 over 11 is less than positive 1. Multiply by 11. Negative 11 less than 3 times x minus 3 is less than positive 11 divided by 3. Negative 11 over 3 is less than x minus 3 is less than 11 over 3. Now add 3. What do you get? If you add 3, negative 11 over 3 plus 3 excuse me, will be negative 2/3. Okay, is less than x is less than 11 over 3 plus 3 will be 20 over 3. That's what you get. That is the interval of convergence. If you want to write in the interval notation, then that will be negative 2/3 comma 20 over 3. That's what you get. Okay, guys, so this is how we can find out the series representation for any center. So if it says center at x equals c equals to 3, then you start with x minus 3 and then try to balance, try to get that thing. Okay, so let us see that. Another example is find the power series of fx equals to 3x minus 8 over 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. You see that there is x in the numerator and x in the denominator. Usually if there is a quadratic function or a higher degree, you can use the partial fraction. Do you remember the partial fraction doing that? So what you do is you can do so let me write using the different color. You can do 3x minus 8 over 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. That's what we got, right? 3x minus 8 and then plus divide by 3x squared minus plus 5x minus 2. Okay, so first of all, let us find out the factors of that. Okay, how do you get the factors of that denominator? You have basically, to find out the factor, you have 3x squared and then minus 2. We need two factors whose sum is 5 and then product is negative 6. That will be negative 6x plus x, I guess, right? Sum is plus 6 minus x, I think. Plus 6x minus x will give you, plus 6x minus x will give you, the product is negative 6, 3 times negative 2, and sum is positive 5, right? Now you group that one, what do you get? 3x out, x plus 2 minus 1 out, x plus 2, right? So now take out x plus 2, x plus 2 out, and then what is left is 3x minus 1. So basically you can write that question as 3x minus 8 over x plus 2 times 3x minus 1. That's what we got, the simplified version. Now I want to use the partial fraction. This is a little longer problem. You can write a over x plus 2 plus b over 3x minus 1. Okay, so if you do that and then do the partial fraction, do you remember the techniques of the partial fraction? You just write that side as a times 3x minus 1 cross multiplication plus b times x plus 2 divide by what? X plus 2 and then 3x minus 1. On the left side you got the same thing, 3x minus 8 over x plus 2 and then 3x minus 1, right? You cancel that. What is left is 3x minus 8 equals that. Now you pick different values of x. Set x equals to let me take x equals to negative 2. What do you get? Take x equals to negative 2. If you do that, you will get 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 8 equals to, that will become 0, right? The second one will become 0. So it will be a times negative 6 minus 1. That's what you get. So negative 14 equals to negative 7a. So a will be 2. We got a equals to 2. Okay, guys. So to find out b, what you want to do is you plug in x equals to 1/3. Okay, if you plug in x equals to 1/3, what happens? This becomes 0. This becomes 3 times 1/3 will be 1 minus 8 equals to, that will become 0. So b times 1/3 plus 2. Okay, so negative 7 equals to b times, what is 1/3 plus 2 is 6/3, right? 7/3. 7/3. So if you multiply by 3/7, you will get negative. So b equals to negative 3. That's what we got for the partial fractions. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do here then is I'm going to write this as so hence we got, let me use the same color. Hence we got 3x minus 8 over x plus 2 and then 3x minus 1 is equals to, I can write 2 over x plus 2 because a is 2, right? And b is negative, so 3 over minus 3 over 3x plus 1 because b is negative 3. Now, so I want to write this as a geometric series, right? You see that? So how can you write that? That can be written as, let me write this as a little simplified form. I can write 2 over 2 plus x. You see that? And then minus 3 over 1 plus 3x. You see that? Now this can be written as since the center is, what is the center? Center is 0. Now we need to have the function of just x, not x plus 1 or x minus 1. So you can write this as, so let me take 2 out, 2 over 2 out, 1 plus x half. You see that? That's what you get. And the minus here, there is already 3 over 1. You can write minus 3x, not a problem. Function of x, both of them, right? So let me divide that. Let me put that 2 over to cancel that 2. You will get basically, let me write 1 over 1 plus x over 2, right? If you want to write again, you can write minus, no problem. So if you want to write that minus and then minus x over 2, because we know that 1 over 1 minus r is the geometric series, right? And then minus, you can write 3 over, you have 1 minus minus 3x. You have that thing, right? By the way, is that 3x plus 1? I think this is 3x minus 1. I'm sorry. So I made a mistake there. So it should be 3x minus 1. So I get 3x minus 1. So if I want to do 1 minus 3x, then that will become plus in the middle, right? You see that? If you want to write 1 minus 3x in the denominator, that will be made plus. Plus and then 1 minus 3x. You can just write 1 minus 3x, 1 minus 3x. That's what we get. Now let us write down the series format. So this can be written as, this is summation n equals to 0 to infinity. A is 1, so r to the n will be negative x over 2 to the n. Negative x over 2 to the n. And then plus, this is plus, right? Plus, this is written as a summation n equals to 0 to infinity, right? And then what do you get here? So a is 3 times r to the n is 3x to the n. That's what I got. You see that? Now this is the series representation, and if you want to write in the simplified form, you can write just one summation and write those two terms. Not a problem, okay? Or even if you want to write x to the n outside the parenthesis, you can do that too. What I mean is, if you want to, you can write like this one as just a single summation equals to summation n equals to 0 to infinity, and then you can write negative 1/2 to the n if you take x to the n out. And then here, if you take x to the n out, then plus 3 to the n plus 1. You can write like that, and then x to the n is outside. You can write like x to the n there. Not a problem, because you know that if you want to write the series of the format with the center at 0, you want to write like a summation a to the n, x to the n, like that. So you can write that x to the n at the end, but I don't have the space there. That's why I put at the beginning. So a to the n is, that thing is a to the n. Now, to find out the interval of convergence, you need to look at the interval of convergence of that part and that part. For the first part, the interval of convergence is x over 2. Don't worry about the negative sign inside, because the absolute value. So take that negative out. So that will give you x is less than 2. So that will give you negative 2 to 2. Okay? Because you can get negative 1 is less than x half is less than 1 multiplied by 2, negative 2 to 2. This gives negative 2 to 2 as the interval of convergence. The second one will give you 3x is less than 1. So that will give you negative 1 is less than 3x is less than positive 1. So divide by 3 will give you negative 1/3 to positive 1/3. Okay, that is the interval of convergence for the first series. That is the interval of convergence of the second series. And be careful that if you want to find out the interval of convergence of the whole series, then the smaller that falls inside, so you will find the intersection, the common of those two. Okay, the common part of those two intervals will be the interval of convergence. Here, what is the first one? It is negative 2 to positive 2, negative 2 to positive 2. The second one is negative 1/3, negative 1/3 to positive 1/3. So the common, this is the common part, right? So this part is the common part for those two series. So that is basically the answer. Okay, so the overall interval of convergence for the whole series is negative 1/3 to positive 1/3, because that is common to both of the intervals for both of the series. Okay, so the common part of the two series will be the interval of the convergence of the overall series. That's how we find out the interval of convergence, and then the power series representation of this kind of function. Okay guys, all right, in the next video we will basically try to see how can we apply the power series representation of a function to find out the integral or the derivative power series representation and integral or the derivative to find out the power series representation of another function. Okay guys, all right, thank you.